Are you a real estate investor looking to sharpen your skills or a newbie looking to become one? You're in the right place. Welcome to Where Should I Invest? Real Estate Investing in Canada with your host, Sarah Larby.
Welcome back. I'm Sarah Larby, and I hope you are enjoying your week, enjoying the weather. I definitely am. You know, it's the first time in many years, thanks to retiring from the 9-to-5 job, that I've been able to enjoy the summer. And I am literally doing what I love to do, doing transactions, doing deals. But I am really like at this point, I think I'm working like 5 to 10 hours. I mean, a lot of it is like Right Club stuff that I'm doing, but I am on the dock most of the days and enjoying some company and food and drinks. Life is good. And I'll tell you, it wouldn't have been this way if I didn't start investing in real estate. So I hope you guys are also on your way. And today's guest, I wanted to introduce Arun. Arun Thakur is actually a former student of mine. We found his first deal was a 5-plex in Welland, and we talk about that. He's done an amazing job scaling from there afterwards, and it's just amazing to see because he came with his wife to Canada in 2015, and he has done tremendous to this day, just taking action, getting things done, doing deals. And we talk about how to work with your spouse, making it work as a family, taking action, finding deals. Now Arun is actually finding some off-market deals, and he's also doing a little bit of wholesaling on top of being a landlord and, doing some really awesome deals. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Don't forget to live life, live your dream, continue doing what you want to do, and say no to what you don't. The more you say no to things that you don't want to do, the more free you'll find that you'll become. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. And again, if you need anything, reach out. I am on Instagram as well, which is at Investor Sarah Larby. See you guys soon, and let's bring in Arun. Arun, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Sarah, doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to have you because I looked at your journey since the last year and a half, 2 years that we've known each other. And I would just say, wow, like you took the information, you got, somewhere, and you are just on fire. So I want to share that story with the listeners. And for those people listening, Arun is a student of mine and hired me before he found his first property. So we're gonna dissect that a little bit. And I'm super excited to see that, even after we stop working together, you are continuing to do some really awesome things. So we will talk about that too. But before we do, can you give the listeners a little bit of your background and why real estate was of interest to you and your wife?
Sure. We moved to Canada in 2015 from US, been in US for 6-7 years, and I bought my primary residence in 2015. So afterwards, I've been thinking for real estate for a few years, but never had a chance or courage to jump into it until we hired a coach. And then 2020, we bought a 5-plex after working with you, Sarah. I also delved into wholesaling. I did 3 wholesale deals last year, and this year the focus is to grow that wholesaling business and also the multifamily business, acquire more properties this year. But yeah, thank you for that great introduction. I think it would have not been possible without hiring a coach and, having that courage and team to be in place to get that done.
That's really cool. So did you think that you were going to buy a 5-plex as your first one?
No, absolutely not. I was scared. And before that, actually, I put an offer for 2 deals. One of them fell through for some issue with the property. Other one did not go through the wholesaling just because of more debt on the seller side. So I had no idea I was going to acquire a multifamily property. It was too scary. Absolutely, no.
And it's a really cool deal, but I want to get into that a little further down. But so you wanted to, get into real estate investing. Was there like a reason why real estate investing rather than maybe like stocks or mutual funds or something different? That like what was it about real estate that made you say this is where I want to invest?
I am invested in stocks and mutual funds as well, but real estate is a vehicle which I think I've seen many people acquire financial freedom and time freedom. So, this is one asset I think I should be on as well to gain that momentum and go for a higher purpose in life, which I wanted to do later on.
Awesome. Now you have small kids, you have a family. Was it easy convincing everybody to jump on board with that vision? Did you guys both share the vision from the start? How did that work?
Not really. I was dreaming most of it, but didn't take any action. And when you're dreaming and you're not taking any action, your partner looks at you and they don't see any results. So there's always going to be some friction here and there. But I got my wife on the same page now. So she's fully supportive. I would have not been able to done this before without her support. I do have two kids. One is 5-year-old and 2.5. So they definitely keep us busy. But with proper guidance from coaches and help, I've been able to systemize my personal life as well as the investing life, both of them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So when we started working together, I know we identified, Welland and a couple other areas as well as possible options for you. And you ended up closing on that 5-plex. But before that, I do want to talk about that wholesale deal, because I think that's an interesting story. And here's the thing is oftentimes even on Instagram, we share the wins, and you do have some wins definitely, but there are some struggles along the way. And this is the realistic part, right? There's some ups and there's some downs. And, before you found this awesome 5-plex, you also found a really cool, super inexpensive deal in Welland, and that unfortunately fell through. Are you able to share? I mean, obviously we won't name names or streets or anything, but are you able to share the story? Because I'll tell you, this is, it doesn't happen all the time, but this is some of the stuff that we have to, as investors, be ready for the ups and the downs of what can happen being an investor.
Absolutely agreed. It's not all full of roses, what we think it is. On the other side, there is work involved. So talking about my second deal, which fell through, it was a less than $200,000 deal, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. I was looking to get my feet wet doing that deal. It was a wholesale deal. So I submitted my deposit and everything, but the seller has more debt on their house than what they were able to sell me. So that fell through. I have to go to the other lawyer's office to get that check back. So I was kind of demotivated at that time, but I knew that, even after falling 2 deals through, I can still make it work. That persistence is needed. And thanks to you, Sarah, absolutely, you helped me to look at many deals afterwards. We looked at many deals afterward together, and this one kind of makes sense. But there's never going to be 100% surety in anything. You have to take risk. There were a few things which could have gone wrong with this deal too. So you have to jump in with that certainty, even if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, there is no, and you said it too, there's no perfect deal, right? There's a deal that's going to be good, and it's going to be important for us to work on it to make it even better. And then just to go back, because I think that and you said it well. So you bought this property off of the wholesaler. Wholesaler did what they could. And then when they went to the lawyers and they were doing their due diligence, they realized that there's actually a lien on the actual property that was more than what you actually paid for the property. And the seller was just very delusional. And ironically, she ended up wanting to sell it and rent something else, but didn't even realize that she owed more money on the house than what she actually sold it to the wholesaler for, which is less than, and technically she owed more than what you even bought it for. So there was no way to make this deal work. Unfortunately, it could have been a good deal, but I think your 5-plex was even better. So walk us through, how you found the 5-plex, and then how you were able to make it, a good deal, over time.
Sure. So 5-plex I found through MLS. That was through one of the realtor you connected me through. And so, we went through this property. The seller was selling his fourplex, which was a property next to it, and a fiveplex, which was this property. So the rents were low for three tenants which were in place at that time, and there was one other unit which was vacant, but the other four were all filled in. So we walked through the property. There was a supervisor who was managing the property, both of his properties, so his rent was low as well. So we looked at all the factors, like we have one vacant unit. We have the supervisor. If he is doing the job for those two properties, he's not going to be doing that anymore. So maybe we can increase his rent. There was also a garage attached to the property. Maybe we can increase the rent for the garage, or add rent for the garage. So all those strategies we were thinking about those. So yeah, we went with all those. I calculated my numbers, and looking at the numbers, I mean, in multifamily NOI is where it is. So I've been able to significantly increase that going forward. And instead of one vacant unit, two units became vacant, which was a blessing. So I was able to renovate them a bit and add more renovations to it, push the hydro bill to the tenants, and luckily the third unit also got vacant. So I was also able to renovate that a bit. So we have three new tenants, and NOI got significantly increased. And this year the plan is to refinance that apartment building, pull that money out, and put it into another multiplex.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And as tenants turn over that are underpaying, that's a good thing, right? So you can actually, so when you're doing a BRRRR on a multifamily, you, unfortunately, the majority of the time you're taking it, fully tenanted. The nice thing is you had that one vacant unit that was actually somebody that was, a tenant that was not very cooperative, but ended up being vacant on your possession date, which worked out awesome. And then you had two more that changed over. So out of five in the first, 6 months, you had three that you were able to reset back to market rents, clean up a little bit, and go from there. And then I guess you've got two right now that are, I could probably figure out which ones they are. just based on having done the walkthrough with you. You probably have a lifer in one of them. And I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but I think unit 5 is a lifer. And what did you end up doing with the garage?
So the garage was a part of a service which comes with tenancy. So we found out we cannot really increase the rent. So it was accommodated in the rent. Although I was able to do the 2.2 increase Ontario government allows last year, which is gonna freeze this year. So yeah, that did bump up the rent a little bit for those two remaining units. So yeah, it worked out to be okay for us.
All right, cool. Now you're looking at refinancing it. So how did you go about, if you can share with the listeners, managing tenants? I mean, you're brand new. I mean, some people choose to do it themselves. Some people choose to hire it out. The management piece, and then the tenant placements. Walk us through what your decision was on that and how that all worked out.
Sure. So I wanted to manage this property myself first, so as to get some idea how this works, since I was brand new to the multifamily investing. So I have been doing property management on my own, but the vacant unit, I've been getting some help from local property managers. I have two contacts in Wetland area where this fiveplex is located, who helped me with renting out those units. So basically they did all the application acceptance and credit checks and showings for the unit. So I don't have to drive all the way from Brampton to Welland for an hour and a half. So I delegated all the work to them. So they did their due diligence, and the final approval for the tenant has to be mine. So that's what I did. We did have to reject few tenants just so they didn't qualify the criteria. But yeah, though they helped us through that part, and it just worked out to be fine.
Okay, very cool. What do you think was the part that was the most difficult for you being a brand new investor, starting out, if you can share that, like what were some of your challenges or section, like parts of the, the whole investing piece that you're like, oh, this is tougher than I thought.
Sure. So, the first one is the mindset. My mindset was kind of narrow, or it wasn't grown up, not involved in the whole community. So coming up with the funding for that 20-25% is a little bit, that's a first hurdle or challenge you have to go through. But as I put the offer in, my mind started working through, like, where can I get the money for the down payment? And it did come up. And now, just to share, I have another multiplex under contract in Wellwell, which I'm looking to, the financing part doesn't scare me anymore. So I know where the money can come from and all that. So that was one part. Obviously, the second part is the managing the tenants, and doing 5 units at once. It could be scary. I figured out what my weaknesses are. I don't like to knock on the doors and so on. So I delegated all that to the property management. My handyman is just a management job. Like, you're managing these people out in the field working for you to make that work, which you're not good at. So I found my strengths and trying to delegate what I don't like, and scale up from there based on my strengths.
Very cool. Awesome. That's great. And congrats on identifying that and realizing if you can delegate it so that you can enjoy the process even more, and that you can focus on other things that you feel like you can do better, or that you actually enjoy the process of, then that is great. So the 5 units is awesome. And it sounds like you've got another 5 unit under contract. So you started wholesaling. So I do want to pivot and ask you a little bit about that. How did the wholesaling piece come about?
Yeah, sure. So last year, after I closed the this 5 plex, I actually started looking for wholesaling. So, I've been watching a few videos here and there, and getting to know what the wholesaling world is. So I picked up phone and called few people from Kijiji, and one lady who was willing to sell that property privately. She called me back after a week, and we happened to work out a deal. She needed like $2,000 before the closing, which wouldn't happen in a normal transaction. So we were able to give her $2,000 before the closing to help her out to move out and start a new chapter in her life. So that was my first deal we closed on. And afterwards I did 2 more deals, but that's how I started in wholesaling, just to get some more funds in my business, so I can use them to acquire more multifamily. That's where my focus is for now, to acquire multifamily properties this year.
Very cool. So that is your niche then? That's where you want to focus on is the multifamilies, like the current one you have?
I think so, yes. I think multifamily is great. Banks look at NOI and how you have significantly improved that property. With the experience I have right now and the process I've gone through, I think I can definitely increase those NOIs based on different strategies which work for a multifamily strategy. Like, you give cash for keys for tenants if they're willing to do that. If any of the units become vacant, then you can put new tenants in, quality tenants, not any other tenant, and then increase that NOI and take the property back to bank and refinance it again to pull that equity out. So yeah, that's what I've learned. Like in multifamily, exit strategy is the first one to think about before you go in and invest in the property. So think about your exit before you start investing in multifamily.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, think about how you're going to pull your money back out, right? Because you
Yes.
want to be able to continue. So that's cool. So, I mean, now you've got a wholesale company or wholesale business. You've got a little bit of experience. First off, congratulations on starting a business out of that. That is really cool. Like, how did you decide to, say, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to get some investors on my list, and I'm just going to try to find them some good deals? Like, how did you put all that together?
Yeah, sure. So it definitely contributed to a couple of coaches, who have been guiding me, including you, Sarah. And for different deals. So I was able to get some funds from those 3 deals, and then I was able to, I hire a few people. Like I have a virtual assistant working for me in Philippines who is every day working to grow my cash buyer list and doing some other marketing like Kijiji and so on. But yeah, I've been watching and talking to other people who are active in this market right now for wholesaling. So what kind of marketing they do. So I've been able to establish some of those contacts with other individuals out there in the market. And yeah, what I've learned is once you start talking to people, everybody's open to help. It's more about you have to ask for help if you are thinking to make it work, and people are there to help. I mean, they're willing to give out, and you have to be able to give out as well. Like it's not just about taking all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when you're looking for deals, I know you mentioned Kijiji, but if somebody's saying, you know what, I think Arun's path is the right one for me, acquire multifamily as your nest egg strategy, properties that you keep, and then you can do wholesaling to get some quick cash and to get some cash so that you can acquire your nest egg properties, the ones you're going to keep for a very long time. Where are you finding these off-market deals that you've been wholesaling? How's that working right now?
Sure. So Kijiji is one way. It has definitely become a little bit more competitive. Everybody's on Kijiji nowadays, but it's about consistency. The deals definitely come through Kijiji. And there are other marketing channels I'm using right now as a flyers, like direct mail to the sellers. So what that means is you have a letter I've been sending out. So where it says, we wanted to buy houses as is condition. And so we make the deal work for the seller. It could be anything based on their requirements, like as my first deal was, where the lady needed $2,000, which wouldn't happen in a normal transaction. If the transaction doesn't close, there's a risk of losing that $2,000. So you have to be creative to make those deals work. So the flyer is another. I'm also going to be looking at online marketing, which is more of a website SEO and other things. But yeah, it's just two of those now, and I have partnered with someone else who is actively getting deals through his network. So yeah, it's essential to not partner with someone if you don't have deals coming in, so you can connect with someone who knows how to get deals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the best way to do it, right? Hire somebody or partner with somebody that can help you get to the next level. And if somebody is interested in finding out more about these off-market opportunities, where can they go?
Yeah, they can visit my website, which is Shania Properties, SHANAYA, and properties.com, which was named on my daughter's name. So, and they can get in touch with me at buyer@shaniaproperties.com.
Awesome. Now, are you able to share, I don't need to know exactly, but like just on average, a wholesale deal, like how much money could that bring a wholesaler on average? I know there's a range, but.
Sure. It could go anywhere from $10,000, $5,000 to $70,000 or $100,000. There are deals where people even make $150,000. So, it depends how good of a deal it is, and how much margins are there for the end buyer or your investors to be able to buy and hold that property or buy it or flip it. So as a wholesaler, those numbers has to be punched in. Like you have to run through different scenarios, who you're going to send that deal to. So yeah, I do use different calculators to punch in those numbers based on repairs needed in the house, estimated repairs, how much the flipper is going to pay the realtor, and take all those into accounts, and then make that offer. And once it's under contract, you can take it to your investor and see who is interested.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get it under contract on a agreement of purchase and sale, and then there's an assignments contract essentially that you would have, and then you shop it around. But you're right, you've got to run the numbers because you need to understand what the margins are. You need to understand, is this actually a deal? There's tons of investors that, or wholesalers, not everyone's made equal, but lots of wholesalers that are like, sweet, I'm going to get a deal. And then they don't leave enough for the investor at the end of the day to be able to make some profit. So it is really important to run those numbers, and that's good that you guys do that as well. How has real estate changed your life and your family's life, as of today, and throughout this process? Can you share if you have any, is it, maybe it's all the same? I don't know, but has real estate changed your life at all?
Sure. Definitely I can see more potential after closing those 3 deals for wholesale. The multifamily investing is a long-term game for me, so that's more the return on that I would start seeing in a couple of years. So maybe 4 or 5 years or 10 years. So once I start refinancing those, that's where money is made on the multifamily. Cash flow is one thing; it could make $500 to $1,000. That might not make much of a difference in anyone's life, but when you have 5 or 10 of these, that's when we start seeing the difference. And refinancing is another thing. So the multifamily hasn't made much of a difference, but I can see that equity building up every year, every month, tenants paying my rent, appreciation is happening on the top of it, and all that. So, but the wholesaling, I have been definitely able to produce some cash in my accounts, which I haven't been able to see that before jumping into that business. So yeah, it's definitely adding more to my financial security and what is possible. So that's where that wholesaling has given me that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just started, right? So you started in 2020. I believe it was 2020, correct?
Yes.
So you started in 2020. So it's really only been, what, 9 months?
Yeah, it's been 9. Yeah, it's gonna be 12 months. Yeah, soon, in a couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah, it does take some time, right? This stuff doesn't happen overnight. And this is why, like, you're doing it, in a great way, in a great strategy, where you've got your nest egg and then you've got your quick cash strategies, so that you can do both at the same time. And in terms of time that you're spending, and I know everybody's journey is different, but like, how many hours are you spending on what you're doing in terms of real estate, and where are those hours going? Is it managing? Is it learning? Is it the wholesale? Like, I know you're working still full time, but just for somebody that's brand new, that's wondering, hey, like, if I want to do something similar, what kind of time is expected for me to get to, where I want to go, as an example, or, depending on what the strategy is, but what does that look like for you?
Sure. So yeah, I'm spending, I would say, less than 15 hours a week or 10 hours a week. That time is spent on understanding our marketing, when the next marketing campaign is going to go, which areas it should be hitting, talking to my virtual assistant to see what she's working on and what the go forward plan is. Other than that, I'm still managing my properties on my own. So scheduling some of that time with the handyman, having him go there for yearly inspection or fix few things for different tenants. And I've been also working on writing offers, and there's so many things involved. Like, writing offers takes a while, and then you have to send them through. So all that adds up. So it's definitely less than 20 hours a week. I would say somewhere from 10 to 15. I'm trying to delegate some of that to my VA more, so I can focus on the main parts of the business. But yeah, that's in process right now.
All right, very cool. So what's next? Like, what are your goals in the next, and let's just call it 2021, 2022? What are some of the things that you're looking for?
Sure. So this year I'm looking to close at least 10 to 12 wholesale deals in the whole year. The target on my wall was 25 deals, but I'm keeping it to 10 to 12. If I can make that happen, that'll be a win for me. Those are the wholesale deals, and for multifamily, I'm looking to acquire 2 more multifamily properties in this year. So one of them most probably would be my own capital, and other one I'm looking for partners to come in, since these are under market deals. And some of the properties like this one in Belleville, I have been able to do some vendor take back on the property, so I don't have to come up with my cash up front. So that's the plan, to scale up using different strategies for those acquiring those multifamily properties. So two more multifamily this year and 10 to 12 wholesale deals.
Very cool. Are you able to share, who you would need on your team to help you get to that? It could be a lawyer, it could be a mortgage broker, anybody, but like, who are some of the important key members that you're going to need to have on your team to get you to those goals?
Sure. So first one I would think is the coach. If you have any questions, definitely need to circle back with someone to check those numbers, see if you want to take that action and put your stuff forward to make that decision. So coach is one. Lawyer is absolutely needed. I've been able to build strong relationship with the Carson Law, just doing those 4 deals, or actually 5 deals. I refinanced my house with them too. So I don't want, if somebody's jumping through different lawyers just for some cheaper rates, that's not recommended. It's very important to build a strong relationship with them. So even if I send an email, they get reply right away. So mortgage broker is another one, property manager or a handyman is needed. So, if you want to jump into wholesaling and don't want to do all the work, virtual assistant, finding a strong virtual assistant is very critical. The one I had, she is very consistent in doing Kijiji marketing and so on. So that had definitely helped me to get some responses.
Awesome. How did you find your VA originally? Did you know somebody that was using that service? Did you, like just Google the VA? Like, how did that all happen?
I just posted on Upwork. I know there are companies who does outsource those resources as well, but I like to work like one-on-one with someone instead of focusing on the company level. Their attention might be more divided when you're dealing with the company. So that's where I found her, and she has been doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, very cool. I have a couple VAs from the Philippines, and it's through a company, but they're essentially a VA that's dedicated for me or for the right club or whatnot. And it does help. Like you're listening to this podcast, it gets edited and the picture is put together by the VAs, because if I did that, I would get a podcast done every 2 months. it just wouldn't work. Right. So like I can record this and then the VAs do it, but I'll tell you, the VAs are a huge time saver, and they're not very expensive. Like I want to say for 2 VAs, one is 4 hours a day, one is 2 hours a day times 5 days a week. I think my bill is like $500 or $600 a month for both of them. Like, let's just call it 6 hours a day for the VAs. I don't know what yours are, but it feels very inexpensive in comparison.
Sure. No, absolutely. This virtual assistant I have, I'm paying her like $200 to do Kijiji marketing, but I'm going to be delegating her more, creating the listing to send it to my investor list. So she's also working on growing the cash buyer list. So I've been able to grow that significantly. Like I have a couple of hundreds cash buyers in my list right now who will get that listing right away, first ones. So yeah, I'm going to be delegating more stuff to her for sure, to help her out and help me out with the business and my time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're good with delegating. I mean, you've delegated a lot of the, management stuff that you didn't feel like doing, which is totally fine, to a great property management company. You're delegating, some of the stuff like, I love delegating. I think it's a great way. I mean, manage the managers or whatnot. But delegating what you don't like to do, or what you think would be better done by somebody else, so you can actually focus on the bigger goals and the bigger things is definitely the way to do it. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I hate picking up the hammer. I've tried it a few times. I have given up, and I've tried myself. So Somebody doesn't have to necessarily do all the work. There are people to do it, and you just have to count those or calculate those numbers in advance, or understand how your cash flow is, and consider those numbers, metrics in there, and all that can be delegated. I'll just focus on the strengths, which you're good at. I found my strengths. I'm good at finding deals and making those deals like work somehow. I will go back to sellers who may not have worked with me in past 6 months for not reaching a deal. I'll continue that conversation and I'll make the deal happen. Like that's what my strength is: finding deals, making them work, and then I kind of delegate that everything else to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Well, congratulations on the success. Can't wait to see how, your second year in real estate is going to happen for you. I mean, year one, you did a 5-unit and you did three wholesale deals already. So, you're definitely on fire. Congrats. So Arun, the next part of the podcast is a lightning round. So every guest gets the same questions. I'm going to ask you a series of 5 questions. You're going to give me the first answer that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Sure, I'm ready.
All right. So question number 1, what is your favorite real estate investing book?
So Rich Dad and Poor Dad had definitely struck my mind. So, it kind of blew my mind actually, like what works and what does not work in a normal scenario, what we have been conditioned to do. So Rich Dad and Poor Dad, obviously after that, there's so many real estate books I've read, but that was the beginning of the whole journey.
All right. Very cool. Now, number 2, I don't know if you listen to podcasts, but if you do you have a favorite podcast in general? It doesn't have to be real estate specific, but do you have a favorite podcast?
Yes, I've been listening to Wholesaling Inc.'s TTP, Brent Daniel in US, awesome training and awesome content for anyone looking to do wholesaling. I also listen to some of the multifamily podcasts just to understand how the financing part works and how to scale more to reach that goal.
Okay, awesome. Great. Number 3, what do you do for fun aside from work in real estate?
Yeah, so in my free time, kids and my wife and all of us go on trail hiking and sledding. So, just spending time with kids and also exploring new places. Unfortunately, this year has been COVID struck, so we haven't been able to go out of country, but that's the plan to go do that more once this ban is lifted and we are in a better position.
All right, awesome. Question number 4, if you lost all of your money and your assets tomorrow, how would you start again?
If I lost all my money, I would start with networking and, getting to know more people and maybe hire someone or do free work if you don't have money to be able to, get the coaching side of it. So that's what I will work on most probably.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a great tip there. And last question, number 5, if somebody has $50,000 and they want to get started, how would you recommend they spend that money?
So there are a couple of ways they can use that money to be able to jump into the market. One is they can hire someone who can guide them how to generate more, or they can start with wholesaling maybe, start with $50,000, generate more cash. And once you have down payment for a bigger property, you can definitely use that 50,000 that way. But yeah, I think that'll be the one path to go. Hire someone who has done it before what you're trying to do, and maybe your coach can guide it. There are many coaches out there who pretend to be the best one. So, whoever you feel like going with, the genuine ones, obviously go take the leap and trust them and get that coaching phase.
All right, very cool. Thanks for playing the lightning round. Arun, where can the listeners reach out if they wanted to know more about you?
They can reach me on my website, shanayaproperties.com, SHANAYA properties.com. And they can also directly email me at buyer at shanayaproperties.com.
All right. And I always ask this to end the podcast. Any final last words of advice for the listeners?
Sure. I would say, take action. Don't sit on the sideline. I have done that for a few years. I was expecting someone to come and hold my hand and tell me where to invest and what not to invest. But, take action, do those small things every day, talk to realtor, talk to wholesalers. Those small things can definitely contribute to a bigger picture in future. And yeah, get a hire coach. And take at the end, the action has to be your decision, but the coach can definitely open those doors for you.
All right. Awesome. Arun, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you on, and congrats again. And just keep going. You are unstoppable, my friend.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to Where Should I Invest with your host, Sarah Larby. Make sure to listen in next time. We'll catch you on the next episode of Where Should I Invest?